Top 40 TV series that everyone must watch. Now it will be interesting and informative. My name is Dan K and this is the DK Now channel. Let's go! Breaking Bad, the business is yours and chemistry is mine. With this phrase begins the most resounding on-screen partnership that has captivated millions of viewers worldwide. According to the plot, terminally ill chemistry teacher Walter White and seasoned drug addict Jesse Pinkman, who were once a teacher and student in the same school, become reconnected by fate, but this time through criminal activity. With nothing to lose, the protagonist, in the company of his new partner, rents an RV and heads into the desert, where he starts cooking drugs using his unique formula. The product becomes popular and Walter, along with his accomplice, earn sums they never even dreamed of. But with great wealth comes significant problems. Over the years, Breaking Bad has become one of the most successful serialized projects in history, winning over critics and audiences alike, garnering 16 Emmy Awards, 2 Golden Globes, as well as recognition from the Guild of Actors, Writers, Directors, and Producers. Bryan Cranston won 4 Emmys for the lead role, Aaron Paul won 3, and Anna Gunn won 2 awards. We're accustomed to the idea that TV series tend to worsen over time as producers squeeze every last drop from each storyline, but Breaking Bad is an exception. From the first to the last episode, the ratings of the series constantly grew. For example, each episode of the first season was watched by an average of 1.5 million viewers. In the third season, about 2 million, and the second half of the final season, almost 6 million viewers. Such occurrences are extremely rare. Breaking Bad, it can be said with complete confidence, is a genuine cultural phenomenon that you simply must watch. Severance. This series emerged seemingly out of nowhere in 2022 and instantly captivated the entire world. The management of Lumen Industries devised a new way to control the daily activities of its employees. The severance procedure, separating work memories from ordinary ones. The protagonist, Mark, agrees to undergo the procedure but soon begins to doubt the correctness of his choice. Many publications immediately named Severance the best series of 2022 or one of the best. At the 74th Emmy Awards ceremony, the series received 14 nominations, including in the Outstanding Drama Series and Acting categories. And all this was only after the release of the first season. Severance obviously has all the chances to climb several steps higher in the coming years, but even just a few episodes released to date already allow this project to be included in the list of the best series that are a must-watch. Chernobyl. Receiving nearly 100 different awards, Chernobyl is an impressive reminder of something that should never be repeated. Over the past decades, numerous films and series have been made about this unfortunately real story, but it's this work that captivated the world with its direction, makeup, acting, set design, and meticulous attention to detail. Swedish musician and director Johan Renk's narrative about the 1986 nuclear disaster through the perspectives of scientists, officials, and ordinary people affected by the consequences showcases just a few days that forever changed the world. The first episode meticulously recreates the explosion and immediate devastation with such dramatic mastery that you'll be sitting on the edge of your seat until the credits roll, as if you've become a part of the historical day yourself. The subsequent episodes delve into the aftermath. Chernobyl is a series of unprecedented scale, and I'm not just talking about its production values. HBO managed to create a true masterpiece, vividly illustrating the largest catastrophe. It's definitely a must-watch series. Its 5 episodes will stay with you long after you finish watching. Friends, a true cultural phenomenon, remaining to this day the most successful sitcom in the history of American television. Let's be honest, if Friends were to debut today in its exact form, it probably wouldn't make it to air. The lack of diversity and the belittlement of different characters. This is even before we'd attempt to believe that Ross, Monica, Phoebe, Joey, Chandler, and Rachel could afford rent in Manhattan. Yet somehow, the show, which first aired during the Bill Clinton era, continues to remain relevant to this day. Many jokes are still relevant, though comedy is one of the fastest dying genres, and the plot lines continue to engage viewers. Nowadays, you often see very young people wearing clothing with symbols from this series everywhere. The project lives on to this day, and that's a fact. Many people for whom English is not their native language will be grateful to this project until their last day. It's amazing, but Friends has become the most convenient project in the world for learning English. These 236 episodes are streaming from one platform to another today. They cost a lot of money, and platforms are still willing to pay for them because there's truly fierce competition for this series. Over nearly a century, hundreds of sitcoms have aired, but none have come close to the success of everyone's beloved Friends. Whether this picture will ever change is truly hard to say. Forever, one of the most underrated series of all time. Initially described as a crime drama with an unconventional concept, viewers in the US were accustomed to procedurals, but the second part of the description left many puzzled. When the first episode aired, it finally became clear what the show was about. Dr. Henry Morgan, a forensic medical examiner in New York, has a secret. He studies the dead not only to solve criminal cases, but to uncover the mystery that has eluded him for 200 years, the reason for his immortality. Yes, he cannot die. Every time he dies, he resurrects in the nearest body of water, shocking everyone around him. Due to poor advertising and an unsuitable time slot, the series had very weak ratings, which is hard to believe today. But over time, the show became insanely popular. A real frenzy started, especially in several European countries. Forever became a super hit in France, Spain, and Germany. Today, by the way, you can watch the series on Apple TV+. This case is exceptional for several reasons. Firstly, it's surprising how important it is to choose the right airing time for a series and to build a proper promotional campaign, because no matter how brilliant a project is, no one will know about it if a mistake is made somewhere. And of course, the combination is important here. Procedurals, series about a specific professional activity, are a worn out and boring topic for viewers, but when this topic is seasoned with, for example, science fiction, it becomes an incredibly successful cocktail. Be sure to watch Forever. You won't regret it. Squid Game. Created by Hwang Dong-hyuk, Squid Game became a global phenomenon, telling the story of a group of people in debt who compete in deadly games for an incredibly huge cash prize. In the era of social media, fan communities of TV series can spread like wildfire. One of the most popular series of all time in this regard is Squid Game, which ignited in a matter of days more than any other show before it. The entire internet was abuzz. The music was everywhere. Everyone started reenacting the seemingly harmless games, sewing green and red costumes for Halloween, and some even began recreating full-scale sets, creating their own versions of Squid Game. Interest in the series even spawned reality shows. Fortunately, Netflix approved filming for the second season, so now is the perfect time to immerse yourself in watching the first part before the eagerly awaited new chapter. Whatever the sequel holds, the essence of Squid Game has already made its mark on history, forever changing the landscape of serialized entertainment. Sherlock. We've seen a million iterations of this character's story before, but it's this English adaptation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's works that conquered the world. Set in the 21st century instead of the 19th, consulting detective Sherlock Holmes, while searching for a flatmate, meets John Watson, a military doctor returning from Afghanistan. Sherlock immediately impresses Watson, telling him about himself, that he served in Afghanistan, that the pain in his leg is psychosomatic, and that he has a brother, here making a mistake. Watson has a sister. They move into 221B Baker Street with the elderly landlady Mrs. Hudson. Together, Sherlock and John assist Scotland Yard in solving complex cases using methods of observation, analysis, deduction, as well as modern technologies such as the internet and mobile phones. Due to the popularity of Sherlock Holmes's new look, the British clothing store Debenhams released his coat from the series for sale, and Belstaff resumed production and sales of the coat worn by Benedict Cumberbatch in the series. Sales of Sherlock Holmes books tripled, and Penguin Classics noted an 83% increase in sales of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Speedy's Cafe, located where Flat 221B is, reported a sharp increase in customers after the series aired. Also, Sherlock became one of the most discussed TV shows in Twitter history. Black Mirror. When it seemed that the anthology genre had died out, a real miracle happened. This British series migrated to Netflix after its second season, where it remains to this day. Created by Charlie Brooker, the show primarily showcases the impact of information technology on human relationships. Each episode is a standalone mini-film, unrelated to previous ones in terms of plot, actors, time, or setting. Connections between episodes emerged a little later. What unites all the plots is satire on the lifestyle prevalent in modern society. Over these 13 years, we've seen 27 stories within Black Mirror, and each one is beautiful in its own right. Amazingly, many predictions from this series have already come true in real life, and some others continue to do so. This project allowed many viewers to look at themselves from the outside and see things that are not very pleasant. It's a wonderful project that will undoubtedly impart many life-important lessons. Love, Death and Robots. This is another anthology, albeit animated this time. The project consists of individual short film episodes, each lasting less than half an hour, some as short as 5 minutes. Work on the series is carried out by different casts and teams from various countries, although some episodes may involve the same studios in their creation. The title of the series indicates the thematic connection of each episode with the three aforementioned themes, although not every episode contains all three elements, since no traditional film studio gave the green light for for an animated anthology film, David Fincher and Tim Miller took their idea to Netflix, where they were, as you can imagine, warmly welcomed. As a result, the project became one of the most popular on Netflix, overshadowing even Black Mirror. It's undoubtedly a project worthy of your attention, and every viewer should watch it in its entirety. Peaky Blinders. This British period crime drama is set in Birmingham, England, and tells the story of the fictional Shelby crime family's activities after World War I. The Peaky Blinders tell the story of the main character and head of the family, Tommy Shelby, played by Cillian Murphy. The actual Peaky Blinders were a real gang based in Birmingham, but the story told in the series is fictional. The series is known not only for being the basis of numerous internet memes. During its existence, Peaky Blinders has received wide acclaim from critics and audiences alike, and an English video game publisher even released a game in honor of the series. According to the Office for National Statistics, Peaky Blinders has had a noticeable cultural impact in the UK. In 2018, the name Arthur entered the top 10 best names for boys for the first time since the 1920s. Even after the series ended, it hasn't lost its popularity, and a full-length sequel film is expected in 2024. If you haven't watched Peaky Blinders yet, correct this misunderstanding immediately. Firefly, a repeatedly cancelled project often saved by fans. The series is set in the year 2517 on several planets and moons. Earth is overpopulated and many have emigrated to the new system. Settlements struggle for civilization, many of which have a desert climate, which sometimes makes the project resemble a classic western. Due to poor advertising and a lack of faith in this series, Firefly showed its captivating nature too late, making producers rethink its prospects. But even from the very beginning, fans saw something special in Joss Whedon's vision. Although the show is undoubtedly one of the most underrated on television, fans still managed to secure a high-budget, feature-length continuation. While this movie didn't become a mega success, the project itself is truly outstanding. The Big Bang Theory. The two main characters of this story are brilliant physicists Leonard and Sheldon, great minds who understand how the universe works. But their genius doesn't help them communicate with people, especially women. Everything changes when the beautiful Penny moves in across the hall from them. They also have a couple of odd friends. Wolowitz, who loves to drop phrases in different languages, and Rajesh Kuthrapalli, who loses his ability to speak in the presence of women. Yes, from the outside it seems like a typical classic sitcom with canned laughter, which evokes nothing but disgust in many viewers. But it must be said, The Big Bang Theory caused a real revolution. A sitcom is the simplest genre on TV, along with talk shows. Everything here should be as straightforward as possible, as such series are created for viewers to relax after a hard day's work. However, this project is filled with complex humor and, most importantly, highly sophisticated scientific terms. Producers initially didn't believe that the project had any chances of success, but to everyone's surprise, viewers fell in love with these geeks immediately. Over 12 years, this series has raised more than one generation, spawning a spin-off even before its conclusion, and then a spin-off of the spin-off. About 20 million viewers watched the final episode of The Big Bang Theory in its home country. Yes, it doesn't reach the results of Friends, but these are still gigantic numbers. By the way, just like with Friends, in the final seasons of The Big Bang Theory, the main stars of the series received around $1 million per episode, and that's absolutely justified. Rick and Morty. At the center of the plot are a schoolboy named Morty and his grandfather Rick. Morty is the most ordinary boy who doesn't differ from his peers in any way, but his grandfather is engaged in unusual scientific research and is often completely inadequate. He can grab his grandson at any time of day or night and embark on crazy adventures with him using a flying saucer made of various junk capable of traveling through an interdimensional tunnel. Each time these two find themselves in the most unexpected places and the most absurd situations. Characters inspired by the Back to the Future franchise have delighted millions of viewers worldwide and remain popular to this day. The American Television Academy awarded the series 2 Primetime Emmy Awards in 2018 and 2020. Rick and Morty, it must be said, became a hit from the first season, with the number of viewers doubling and then tripling over the first 6 episodes. The third season ended with the highest ratings in the history of the Adult Swim platform. Don't take this series superficially. Important questions are raised in each episode. Stranger Things, a series in which the present and the past are perfectly intertwined, and the cast of actors from both the old school and the new one turned out to be a perfect cocktail. The action takes place in the town of Hawkins, Indiana. The disappearance of 12-year-old Will leads to Sheriff Hopper's investigation and the appearance of a mysterious girl. The events are connected with a parallel world known as the Upside Down. Will finds himself in this world, and his friends, along with that same girl, try to save him. The series combines elements of detective and drama and is also inspired by the works of Steven Spielberg and Stephen King. The events in the series begin in the 1980s. Honestly, the ambience and atmosphere of the 80s are perfectly captured in this series. It's hard to remember during viewing that the project is created today, as every detail is considered. Hairstyles, style, decorations, and everyone's beloved music from that bright and beloved period. Hardly anyone could have predicted what this project would grow into years later, but every new season of Stranger Things is more popular than the previous one. Soon this story will end, and of course it's not difficult to guess that the finale will become the peak of popularity for the project on Netflix. Stranger Things has already gone down in history, and if you haven't seen this masterpiece yet, now, before the finale, is the perfect time. Band of Brothers. This is the story of the combat path of Easy Company, 2nd Battalion, 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 101st Airborne Division of the US Army, from training camp in Toccoa, Georgia, through the landing in Normandy, the Holland Operation, and the siege of Bastogne to the end of World War II. This epic about World War II was created by true cinema titans, Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg. Like its predecessor, Saving Private Ryan, the series Band of Brothers intuitively shows combat actions, trying not to lose its characters in the fog of war. Later, I remind you, the series The Pacific, also on HBO, dealt with this problem. Although Band of Brothers didn't become a mega popular hit, primarily because war movies are clearly not for everyone, the project is brilliant and beautiful in almost every aspect. The Simpsons, they're already 35. It's hard to believe that any project can live for so long, but they don't even think about leaving. The Simpson family consists of Father Homer, Mother Marge, daughters Lisa and little Maggie, and the troublesome teenager Bart. They all live together in the average town of Springfield. Homer works at the local nuclear power plant, Marge takes care of the house and children, the curious Lisa excels in school, and Bart constantly gets into all sorts of trouble. Over the years, many have tried to shut down The Simpsons. People have formed groups, filed lawsuits, but this family never gives up, thus remaining on the air to this day. The characters of the animated series have also repeatedly appeared on the covers of various magazines, and in addition to a heap of awards, received their own full-length film, which was released worldwide, grossing over $500 million. This is an entire era and a treasure trove of intelligent thoughts disguised as banal black comedy, which literally everyone must watch. Better Call Saul, the story of the trials and tribulations that Saul Goodman, a criminal defense lawyer, has to overcome while trying to open his own law firm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a spin-off that, in many ways, is better than the original. Many say that Better Call Saul is better than its older brother Breaking Bad, and even if that's a bit of an exaggeration, there is still a quite compelling argument here. Vince Gilligan perfected everything that made Walter White's story brilliant, from skillful, smart storytelling and stylish shots to swift dialogues and carefully crafted characters. Despite always knowing the presumed fate of the scam artist lawyer Jimmy McGill, the story of his rise is turbulent and magnificent. Supernatural. In every generation, there is a chosen idol of teenagers who captivates the public. At that time, there were two. The series tells the adventures of brothers Sam and Dean Winchester, who travel across the United States in a black 1967 Chevrolet Impala, investigating paranormal phenomena, many of which are based on American urban legends and folklore, and fighting creatures of evil, such as demons and ghosts. We've seen something similar in series like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, X-Files, and many others. But this story is very different from the rest. Despite the fantastic component, viewers love this story for something else entirely. Supernatural is first and foremost about family. Maintaining the necessary atmosphere, a reasonable plot, and evolving over a long period of time is not easy. It's even harder to win over the audience by offering them a deep understanding of what's happening. In this regard, Supernatural brilliantly succeeded, and undoubtedly the actors who played the main roles made a huge contribution to making this project so outstanding and sincerely human. Supernatural is an era, and not watching at least the first few seasons is a real crime. The Bear. As said in the series itself, it would be weird to work in a restaurant and not completely lose your mind. Created by Christopher Storer, The Bear is one of the hottest new series of our time, starring Jeremy Allen White, whose name is now heard everywhere and not for nothing. He plays a chef from a fancy New York restaurant who returns to Chicago to run his family's sandwich shop after his brother's suicide. Under additional pressure due to a huge debt, Carmy tries to keep the restaurant going with manager Richie, new sous chef Sydney, passionate baker Marcus, and rebellious cook Tina. This series is often funny, very tense, and offers an incredibly detailed look at the flip side of the restaurant business with all its anxieties. Incredibly instructive and definitely worthy of a place on the must-watch list. American Horror Story, the third anthology in this video. If you haven't seen a single episode of this project, firstly, I don't understand how you managed that, and secondly, I feel sorry for you because you missed out on so much enjoyable and interesting content. Horror Story presents each season as a separate horror story with a unique plot and characters. The series explores various themes of horror, including supernatural phenomena, mental disorders, witches, freak shows, vampires, cults, and more. Each season has its own unique style and aesthetics, but the overall character of the series is pervasive horror, tense plots, and unexpected twists. In general, the series brings together different horrifying American stories into a cohesive whole, creating something very frightening. 12 seasons and 13 absolutely different fascinating stories have already been released within this project. It is worth mentioning that no one intends to stop, and the ratings allow the series to remain on the air to this day. House, MD. This procedural follows the story of the brilliant Dr. Gregory House, who leads a team of physicians striving to make accurate diagnosis and save patients' lives. House himself is a medical genius, but his insensitivity in dealing with patients and tendency to avoid them create a special atmosphere. He battles his own pain, often exhibiting harshness and venom in his interactions. Perhaps 177 episodes may seem like too daunting a challenge for you, but the great thing is that you can turn on this project at literally any episode since there is no particular plot attachment here. In the genre of medical drama, there are many good examples: Grey's Anatomy, Nip Tuck, The Good Doctor, Saving Hope. But House is perhaps the best in its genre, and not least thanks to the excellent actor Hugh Laurie. Sex education. At the beginning of this story, a shy and unsociable teenage virgin named Otis lives with his mother, who works as a sex therapist. Teaming up with classmate Maeve, Otis conducts therapy sessions for his peers to help them navigate awkward and confusing situations. In my opinion, this is a terribly underrated work. Many viewers watch this series very superficially, seeing only someone's antics and thinking that everything here is done just to make money off the audience through the theme of sex. But it should be said that this is truly one of the most instructive series of recent years, the creators of which explain things very directly to the younger generation, without resorting to euphemisms. By the way, the creators of the series tried to cover literally all possible social groups in one series, not leaving anyone unnoticed in the end. Lost. The series begins with a plane crash, after which a group of people finds themselves on a mysterious island. The plot focuses not only on the struggle for survival, but also on unraveling the mysteries of the island, such as enigmatic entities, temporal loops, and the personal secrets of the characters. Throughout the series, we are drawn into mysteries, intrigues, and unexpected turns, while the overarching theme explores questions of fate, spirituality, and relationships. Lost is famous for its intricate plot and mystical atmosphere. Yes, perhaps after watching all 6 seasons you still won't understand what it was all about, but it's worth watching this project at least to understand where it all started. Before Lost, people had a completely different attitude towards TV series. After the release of Lost, everything changed. These scales are absolutely comparable to the blockbuster movies of that time. At the very least, watching one season is definitely worth it. The White Lotus. As I always say, nothing much happens here, but it's insanely interesting. Creator, director, screenwriter, producer Mike White didn't hold back at all. He's in all the credits here. And rightly so. If you want to do it well, do it yourself. In this series, the spotlight is usually on a group of people who come on vacation to some unfamiliar country. Each of these people has many of their own problems and secrets, which of course are inevitably revealed by the end of the season. What's more important is that through this series, Mike White tries to show the difference between the rich and the poor, how much envy there is in all of this, how unfair this stratification is, and where it ultimately leads. Even just for this life lesson, the series is worth watching. The first season showed us Hawaii, the second season was shot in Sicily, Italy, and in the third season we will see Thailand. Sex and the City. HBO once created a true masterpiece of 104 episodes. The series is set in New York and tells the story of the lives of 4 friends in their 30s. They freely discuss sex, love, and careers. The series also addresses issues of safe sex, sexual orientation, casual relationships, feminism, the role of women in modern society, and many others. The scheme is perfect. All 4 women are absolutely different in character, fate, and appearance, and the plot and shooting style creating the effect of eavesdropping on on other people's conversations have done the main job in the success of the series. The project ultimately became beloved by millions of fans worldwide and received numerous awards and nominations for prestigious awards, including 7 Emmy Awards, 8 Golden Globe Awards, and 11 Screen Actors Guild Awards. After the series ended, 2 feature films were released in 2008 and 2010, as well as a youth prequel series on the CW channel called The Carrie Diaries. In 2021, a sequel to Sex and the City, titled And Just Like That, was released. Thus, this story has been alive for 26 years already, and this is clearly not the end. Prison Break. The plot of Prison Break revolves around 2 brothers, one of whom, Diana Lincoln Burrows, was sentenced to death for a crime he did not commit, and the other, Michael Schofield, tries to save his older brother. To do this, Schofield stages a fictitious bank robbery with the use of weapons and ends up in Fox River State Penitentiary, where Burrows awaits execution. Schofield tattoos the escape plan on his body in advance. The plot action then moves from Illinois to other states in the USA and even to Panama and Yemen. This was the time just after the series lost. Yes, by then TV series had already begun to receive large budgets and the competition was fierce. It was impossible to imagine the development of the plot in such a limited territory, but the creators of the Prison Break series managed to do the impossible. The project became one of the most successful in history. Various countries tried to shoot their adaptations, but all of them fell far short of the original, which has forever entered history as one of the most successful TV series in the world. Twin Peaks. This television series is about the mysterious murder of high school student Laura Palmer in the small town of Twin Peaks. During the investigation, FBI agent Dale Cooper encounters secrets hidden behind the town's respectable facade. The plot intertwines with mysticism, mysteries of the past, and society's double standards. There was a very soulful and mysterious approach here, deep characters, and an atmosphere of intrigue throughout the series. The premiere attracted more than 8 million viewers to the screens, which was simply cosmic by ABC standards at the time. Then 30 episodes were released, divided into 2 seasons. But true fame came to the series much later. Only in 2007 did Time magazine include the series in its list of the best TV shows of all time. In 2019, Rolling Stone magazine recognized Twin Peaks as the scariest series in history. As a result, 17 years later, the project received a continuation in the form of a 3rd season, which happens very rarely. Money Heist. This series has a truly strange history. The first 2 seasons were produced in Spain, and for a long time, nobody on the planet knew about it. Initially, it was shown in 15 episodes on the Spanish channel Antena 3. However, Netflix acquired the global streaming rights at the end of 2017, where the series was condensed into 22 shorter episodes and released worldwide. From that moment on, it achieved resounding success. Suddenly, all these Spanish actors woke up one morning as superstars. The series tells the story of 2 long-planned heists led by the professor, one at the Royal Mint of Spain and one at the Bank of Spain, narrated from the perspective of one of the robbers, Tokyo. The storytelling unfolds in real time and relies on retrospective shots, jumps in time, hidden motives of characters, and an unreliable narrator to add complexity. Money Heist eventually became the most popular non-English language series on the Netflix platform. In November 2020, Netflix announced the creation of a South Korean adaptation of Money Heist. Later, a spin-off titled Berlin about one of the characters from Money Heist was released. It seems that the conclusion of this story is nowhere in sight yet. Arcane League of Legends. This animated series finally brought the storyline of the game League of Legends to a wider audience, portraying the story of 2 sisters, Vi and Jinx, who find themselves on opposite sides of the conflict between the wealthy and the oppressed. This tale was well received by both fans of the game and casual viewers looking for the next show to watch on Netflix. Throughout the 1st season, with the 2nd season soon to be released, Arcane immerses viewers in a complex fantasy world filled with expressive animation and captivating characters, setting new records on Netflix as the most viewed show in the first week after release and becoming a global phenomenon. For fans of science fiction, animation, and drama in general, Arcane is worth the time spent watching. Ted Lasso. Based on a brief advertising campaign for NBC's English Premier League broadcast, the character of Ted Lasso transformed from a marketing tool into the center of an 11-time Emmy Award-winning series that won the hearts of viewers worldwide. Jason Sudeikis is superb in the role of a mustached wise man who agrees to become the head coach of AFC Richmond in London, having no understanding of football whatsoever. The series shows not only his efforts on the field, but also his desire to make changes in the lives of those around him. The series has a great ensemble cast, cast, including Hannah Waddingham, Brett Goldstein, and Juno Temple. Ted Lasso has already presented us with 3 seasons, and while things may not be as bright toward the end as they were at the beginning, it's still a stunning piece of work that definitely deserves your attention. If you still don't understand what all the fuss is about, it's not too late to join the army of fans of the show. You'll either laugh until you cry or cry while smiling. The Boys. Few can recall even 3 worthy projects on Amazon Prime Video that have made history. But in 2019, there was a bright exception in the form of the series The Boys. The series is set in a world where superheroes exist. They are the real stars. Everyone knows and adores them. However, behind the perfect facade lies a much darker world, and most of the heroes are not the nicest people in real life. Standing against them is a squad unofficially known as The Boys. It's a fantastic satire, mocking and cruel. In general, it's what viewers needed. Tired of classical superhero stories where literally every next step is predictable. You never know who will die in the next scene, and perhaps that's the main thing. The level of cruelty is incredible, and what sets The Boys apart from other series is its unexpected descent into absurdity, which is truly unpredictable. The comic book version once received its share of fame, but the adaptation, it must be said, has stepped up several notches, continuing to maintain the bar to this day. The Office. This mockumentary-style series is arguably the most influential TV show of this millennium. Its 200 episodes brought a sea of hilarious jokes and enjoyable moments to the planet. Few shows depict office life so accurately. Corporate evaluations, staff training, quizzes, romantic moments by the printers, or intuitively convey real people's conversations. Despite its reputation as a cringe comedy, the series also has a real understanding of people. Often mischaracterized as a terrible boss, Brent is much more than a foolish dancing man. He's a tragicomic figure who simply wants to be loved and admired by his team. The result is one of the greatest characters on television in one of the greatest TV shows. Watch at least a couple of episodes, you'll love it. The Wire. The plot of this superhit revolves around a police unit in Baltimore trying to use special means and surveillance activities to bring organized crime investigations to court, dealing with illegal drug trafficking. Except for the unstable final season, which mostly showcased the showrunner's own experience at the Baltimore Sun, it's hard to pick the best season because the script's quality was consistently good. The casting here is also top-notch, with a young Michael B. Jordan and Londoner Idris Elba, and the late Michael K. Williams is simply fantastic as Omar Little. Although The Wire went off the air more than 15 years ago, it's still one of HBO's most well-known crime dramas and one of the greatest TV shows ever created. Modern Family. This comedy depicts the lives of 3 different families united by blood relations. The Pritchett family includes Jay, his young and beautiful wife Gloria, and their son from a previous marriage, Manny. Next are Phil and Claire Dunphy, who are raising their trio of children, and finally the Tucker Pritchetts, where Mitchell and Cameron are raising their adopted daughter Lily. It's that mockumentary style where characters speak to the camera, sharing their thoughts and experiences, and if it was rejected in Sex and the City, in this case it still worked. Modern Family encompasses all aspects of our lives and even more: marriage, diversity, gender roles, family relationships, domestic conflicts. It's all here. And the show's creators approach these topics with a comedic perspective. Since its premiere and until the final season, the series remained popular. It could have continued, but the creators decided to end the story in the 11th season, realizing that saying goodbye should be done in a timely and beautiful manner. I won't list all the awards the series won. There are really a lot of them. I'll just say that it's still one of the most successful projects in the history of ABC. Dexter. It's time to discuss the lumberjack. At the heart of the plot is Dexter Morgan, a police forensic expert in Miami who doesn't experience love, is indifferent to sex, and lacks emotions. He's also a serial killer. His father, a former police officer, taught him the art of carefully covering up traces of the crime. Ordinary citizens have nothing to fear, as Dexter only chooses as his victims those who have remained invisible to justice. He sees murder as a creative act and art, but a mysterious opponent appears in Miami, equal to and possibly surpassing Dexter. This mysterious X offers him a kind of friendly competition, intriguing Dexter and raising many questions. The series finale of Dexter caused hilariously dissatisfaction among the audience. However, absurdity was often one of the most appealing aspects of the series. The very idea of the series was initially doubted, and yet when it worked, the series was on the brink. Later on, by the way, a continuation was released in the form of a mini-series called Dexter New Blood, to give fans what they always wanted. This project can be discussed in different ways, but there's no doubt that the project itself is ingenious. You simply must watch this series. Doctor Who, an alien humanoid who calls himself the Doctor, travels through time and space in a spaceship that looks like a 1950s police box from the outside. The Doctor is extremely eccentric and possesses incredible knowledge in the fields of technology, history, and science. He travels alongside his companions, fighting against cosmic villains and saving Earth from countless enemies. Originally conceived as a semi-educational and family-oriented series with an old man and his granddaughter exploring space and time in an old police box that turns out to be bigger on the inside, Doctor Who has become one of the longest-running television series of all time, with nearly 900 episodes and 3 movies since its debut 60 years ago. Key to its longevity is the built-in ability to replace the main actor, constantly changing companions, and memorable villains, whether they be Daleks, Cybermen, or Weeping Angels attacking when you blink. It's hard to explain, just watch it. The Queen's Gambit. This miniseries starring Anya Taylor-Joy is based on Walter Tevis's famous novel. After the death of her mother, 9-year-old Elizabeth Harmon becomes an orphan and is sent to a Catholic orphanage. There, the girl meets an elderly janitor, Mr. Shaibel, whom she asks to teach her to play chess. During the day, Beth plays with Mr. Shaibel in his basement utility room, and at night, after taking a green pill, she plays out chess matches on the ceiling of the communal bedroom. Several years later, the girl will be adopted, her life will take a completely different turn, but the main role in it will be played by her love for chess. Although the heroine struggling with substance abuse trope is a tired trick, The Queen's Gambit worked so well precisely because of Scott Frank's directorial talent, his perspective on the era, and Anya Taylor-Joy's excellent work. She is delightful as a young teenager discovering salvation in the game and surpassing confident men, as well as a self-realized woman grappling with the consequences of fame. Excellent work, a must-watch. The Vampire Diaries. There are plenty of stories about love triangles, vampires, and coming of age pushing towards difficult choices. But when it comes to all of that combined, there aren't that many, and the Diaries stand out in this list. Buff, you probably won't have the strength to watch today, because with that graphics, it's an assault on the ice, but the story of the Salvatore brothers is just right. The Vampire Diaries is an 8-season story set in the town of Mystic Falls, where vampires, werewolves, and witches exist among ordinary people. The main plot revolves around the love triangle between Elena Gilbert, the Salvatore brothers Stefan and Damon, and their interactions with mystical forces. Love, friendship, sacrifices, and the fight against dark forces, all this and much more is here. The popularity of this project has reached such a scale that the whole story no longer fits into one series, so the Diaries have spawned 2 spin-offs, which have also been very successful on air. You can treat the Vampire Saga however you like, but the fact that it is one of the best and perhaps the best vampire series in history is a fact. Mare of Easttown. By the time the series debuted, HBO Max already had many outstanding crime dramas featuring some of Hollywood's biggest names, including True Detective and Fargo. Nevertheless, Easttown attracts with its acting and mysterious plot. Kate Winslet plays Mare, an emotionally tortured detective consumed by the investigation of the murder of a young mother-teenager in their small town in Pennsylvania. Everyone becomes suspects, and finding answers is difficult, although Mare already has enough of her own personal problems. The dark atmosphere and experienced cast immediately immerse you in moments both beautiful and absolutely tragic. Trust me, Kate Winslet, Jean Smart, Guy Pearce, and Evan Peters, it's an explosive mix. Game of Thrones. When this story came to light in 2011, the adaptation of George R.R. Martin's adult fantasy series by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss seemed to be something more than just a sexually charged Lord of the Rings. But already in the 9th episode, which turned everything on its head with an unexpected twist, it became clear that it was much more, a real, witty, stereotype-breaking drama that drew inspiration from history rather than fantasy. It wasn't a battle of good and evil, but a bunch of twisted but captivating characters creating a horrible mess on screen. Everyone here has conflicting, usually selfish goals, and the heroes are ready to stick to them until their world is on the brink of catastrophe. As the show progressed and budgets increased along with the appearance of dragons, the action reached epic proportions, and it gained the level of viewership and cultural influence that you wouldn't expect from such, let's say, niche content. The show is still criticized for its last 2 seasons, but despite the loss of sharpness in the script, it remained more captivating and complex than most TV series ever made. This is the series that literally every adult viewer on the planet should watch. Which of these TV shows do you love the most, and what other series should I have added to this video? Waiting for your comments. My name is Dan K, and this is the DK Now channel. See you soon.